we are in luck because I find myself once again on a long drive, which means that I have yet another opportunity to demystify some elements of dressage for you guys. And this will be part 2 of demystifying different elements of lateral work. And in this segment, I want to go over utilizing lateral work as a diagnostic tool, and then also how to use those results to use lateral work as a therapeutic tool as well. So we're going to go on a little bit of a visualization tour, and today our subject is going to be a 15-year-old Hanoverian named Chuck. And it has been raining for the last 3 days, which means that Chuck has been stuck in his stall. And we take him out today for a ride, and he just doesn't feel quite like himself. He's not head bobbing lame, and he's not lame enough that we would be disqualified from a test or anything like that. But, you know, we ride this horse 5 days a week, and we know what he feels like, and today he doesn't feel like himself. So in utilizing our lateral work as a diagnostic tool, there are 3 different results that we can get from a test, okay? We can execute the exercise and get back that Chuck gets worse. And obviously if he gets worse, that means that that type of exercise is not beneficial to him at this time. And it also means that we have pinpointed the source of where that asymmetry or that discomfort's coming from. So the degree of gets worse will tell you whether or not he just needs a day of, you know, lounging around and hand walking, or if you need an emergency vet visit, or any myriad of anything in between, okay? So one element, he can get worse. The other side of that is we can execute a lateral exercise and Chuck can get better. And within that lets us know that we've pinpointed where the problem was, and that we now have beginnings of a plan on how to therapeutically help him. Okay, and then the third test result that we can get back is nothing. We can have no change. We can go through the exercise and still got the same NQR horse. But you know, even in that third test result, I want you to be cognitively aware that that does not mean that your perception of Chuck's reality is false. Okay, when we get back that there's no change, that means that where we are testing is not where that asymmetry or that discomfort or that element or opportunity for greater straightness is not rooted in the area that we're testing. So let's say that, you know, now we're back on Chuck, all right? 15-year-old Chuck, been stuck in a stall, and through walking around on that nice loose rein, asking him to overtrack, and stretch forward and down. Let's say that to us, in our perception, that we feel that it's most likely somewhere in his right hind leg, and we want to be able to narrow it down a little bit further. So since it's in his right hind leg, or so we think, we're going to start Chuck in shoulder in to the right. And the first element that we're going to test is his hock, because the shoulder in asks for more articulation through the hock joint. So first time down the line, we're going to keep him in textbook shoulder in alignment, okay? We're riding him in that outline of a square. So he's in his 2-story house, out of walk. 3 tracks, supported by the outside rein. You know, inside ear is slightly higher, so on and so forth. And let's say that we get a positive, a slight positive, or a no change. And when I say positive, I mean like improvement, okay? So he slightly improves, he really improves, or there's no change. Then the next go round, what we're going to do is play around with his displacement. So meaning, you know, classically the shoulder in is a 3-track exercise. Maybe we push it even further to a 4-track exercise and then ask him to stretch forward and down and out a little bit and see what happens when we ask for that ballistic stretch through the shoulder. Because even though we perceive it as being in his right hind, it could be in his left shoulder because that would be his diagonal limb. Okay? And that'll help us narrow down with that positive or that no change, whether or not it's rooted in the hock and that the hock just needed a little bit more help with circulation of synovial fluid that day, or if it's something within his shoulder. But let's say after that exercise we still get no change. Then we're going to move on into changing direction and go hunches into the left, because the next element that we need to test is the stifle. And in hunches into the left, that means that we are unilaterally loading the right hind leg, and therefore we are asking for more joint articulation through the stifle. Now, same thing, first go round, picture perfect displacement and picture perfect hunches in, all right? Riding in that 2-story house, 4 tracks, shoulders are nice and straight, body is equally bent, you know, sitting on that inside seat bone, carrying that forward. And, you know, big positive, little positive, no change. The next go around, I'm going to play again with forward, down, and out, inviting him to stretch there, because that's going to help me determine whether or not it's within the stifle joint, or, get this, whether or not it's actually in the hamstring, and if the hamstring is tight and needs some ballistic stretch. So in doing that, depending on the results, we then figure out which one of those that it is. But if we get no change again and we're still riding, you know, same NQR chuck, go ahead and take it into half pass to the left, because now we're going to go and test his hips and also his gluteal muscles and his inner and outer thighs. So in that half pass to the left, we are loading the outside hind leg and asking for more range of motion and more articulation through the hips, okay? And in that, let's say that we get a no change, or we get a slight improvement, or even a big improvement. If you want to narrow it down as to whether or not you're dealing with inner and outer thigh stuff, or if you're dealing with gluteal muscle stuff, go ahead and take that half pass and turn it into a large turn on the forehand. Okay, so like the haunches are turning around on a 10-meter circle track with the rest of his body inside of that 10-meter circle, bent in the direction of travel. And if after doing that he has significant improvement, then we know that it's from his inner and outer thigh that needed a little bit more ballistic stretch. So based on your results and seeing what helps, that lets you know how to shape and tailor the rest of your ride. Now let's say if you go through all of those different lateral exercises and he still has no change, then let's go ahead and do the same lateral exercises in the other direction, because let's face it, we are not absolute perfect perceivers of our horses at all times, and it could be that our initial hypothesis that this was coming from the right hind leg could be wrong. This could be rooted somewhere actually in the left hind leg, or the right shoulder, or in the intercostal muscles of the rib cage. So we need to be able to roll through both sides of that with the horse. So utilize these to help you and help your horse figure out where your opportunities for greater straightness lie, and then use that feedback to help you figure out what pieces they need more of that day in order to become stronger, better, balanced, more supple, happy mounts. And I hope that clears that up for you guys a little bit. I would love to hear your feedback as to what you think is in regards to these videos. And also, if you have any suggestions of things you would like for me to go over and talk about while I'm blabbing on the road, please send me requests of sort of things that you would like to hear about. And I'm happy to run my mouth. So until next time, this is Tacita with Destination Consensus Equus.